here again, and you know, as you might see, we're still working on the tech side of things. I think Annie got a shout out. Annie Pendergast, who's our sort of head media person, got a shout out earlier. She's in the chat if you have questions, and Bonner Sands as well. In the room today, we have Rosemary Dougal, who is one of our worship coordinators, and Beth Wilson, who's one of our worship coordinators as well. They're behind the scenes. We have Reverend Zackrie from Cedars, who is with us. We're at KUUF, and we have Brian, our music coordinator, accompanist extraordinaire here at Kitsap UU Fellowship as well. So welcome. We are all gathered in this virtual space, moment to create sacred space that is across the miles, wherever you are, whoever you are, wherever you are on life's journey. Welcome. And let's light our chalice.
Yeah,
shall we?
So it's our tradition as Unitarian Universalists to kindle the flame of our chalice as we gather together. And as I was thinking about what to use for today's reflection to light our chalice, I found a reading in the back of our gray hymnal. It's reading 439, if you're curious later to look it up. And it's by Sophia Lyons-Boz, who many of you may know has left a big impact upon our faith tradition in terms of the work we do with our families and youth. But this reading speaks to the moment we're in. We gather in reverence before the wonder of life, the wonder of this moment, the wonder of being together, so close, yet so apart, each hidden in our own secret chamber, each listening, each trying to speak, yet none fully understanding, none fully understood. We gather in reverence before all the intangible things that space cannot hold and time cannot measure. And so as we gather in this intangible community, may this light be a reminder of what is possible when we remain connected despite the physical distance that dwells between us. So welcome.
And who is with us? Should we check?
Yeah. So I know some of you all started typing your names, but if maybe we could just have everyone retype your name. If you have a few people in the room, just take a moment and put it in the chat so we know who all is here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I see a few people. I see Fran Corton. We'll start there. Morning, Fran.
Annie Pendergast is here. Thank goodness.
I see Bonnie Yokis. Hi, Bonnie.
Jane Martin lit her chalice.
Hi, Jane. And I see Gregory and Arlene are here.
Marilyn Dregson is here. Hooray!
And we have Joey Witherspoon.
The Emmets are here.
I see Liam and William again. Heidi Parkington Thal. Mary Ellen Morgan.
John and Judy McKenzie. Bonnie Heinrich.
Jessica, Maya, and Amelia.
Lisa and Sagooby.
Lauren Moore.
Donna Kramer.
Hey, Donna. It's Bonnie again.
Tyler and Jenny Weaver. Jennifer and Ashlyn Ingalls. I'm so glad you're here.
Rachel and Diane McBain.
Emily Mockett, Alia, and Chance. Did I say that right?
Aaliyah. But
Aaliyah.
Yeah. Hi, Chance.
Jeff Campbell's here.
Brian, Liz, and Kay here.
TJ and Lucy are here.
We have Susan W.
Judy Friesum's here.
Carol Ann Davidson and Grace.
Carrie, Rick, and Nutmeg.
Robin Singh.
Marsha Kristen.
Mike and Carol Menefee.
Marsha and Chimmy.
Herman Leslie.
Phil Hutcherson.
Oh, Jeff, Nancy, and Lydia.
Pat Killian.
Oh, we have Scott from Quimper up in Port Townsend.
Wonderful.
Welcome.
Vinny Perone is here.
So, Chris in Kansas. Welcome, Chris.
Welcome, Chris. Rebecca McCall is here. So glad to see you.
I see Janet Marie. Good morning, Janet Marie.
Rod and Carolyn.
We have Chris Smello and Ernie. Good morning. Johanna Munson and Claire Barnley.
Judy Willett.
Ruth Powers Picone.
That's right.
I did it.
Yeah. Kasha Singh is here. Hi.
Good morning. Eric and Demi Rasmussen.
Marcia Smith.
Good morning, Marcia. So we have Catherine McCarvery. I think I missed that.
Bonner lit his chalice. Good to see you, Bonner.
Thank you, Bonner. Barbara and Bob Golden.
Matthias, Bunny, and Rowan are here.
Mike Cox and Patty Shannon. Hello, Patty in Florida.
Margaret Chang, John Weens, Charles Walbridge. We're going to have to get faster, I think.
I know, I was like, we have Nancy and Ed, Robin Teskey, Caitlin and Davis from Bellingham. Hello, it's good to see you here. Oh,
Jerry
wow.
Butler, Ellie Klaumenzer, Marty Bishop, Susan Schaefer,
Jillian Bull, Tracy Dickerson, Nikki Paget,
Stan Stumbo, Chris Robinson,
Rhonda,
Rod and Carolyn,
Brian and Rebecca Baker. Hello.
Chris and Puyallup, Terry Mallory, Bob and Carolyn.
Awesome.
Rebecca, Celine Patterson.
I see Jillian typed her name again.
Woo!
That's exciting.
That is so exciting.
I'm showing here that we have 112 people watching, which is actually very exciting for our second time doing this. I think if there's more people, you're welcome to continue typing your names for folks to see. But if we didn't get a chance to read it, please know we're glad you're here with us. And
I mean, first of all, just to have so many folks gathered together in this space is amazing. And I can see even more than we had last week, and I can see people being more comfortable being on chat and engaging. And I'm just so grateful that you're all here and engaging with us. We were saying earlier that we bring overconfidence and lack of confidence, and those things carry us through. So if you're bringing that today as well, thank you for being here. Yeah, should we sing our opening song?
I think so.
Okay.
And so
the words are in the order of service, which are linked in the chat. And Annie may actually have put that on the website as well. This is Gather the Spirit, if you know this one. If you have a hymnal at home, it's number 347.
Okay, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
were all able to sing along with us, and that you have the audio. From last time we've made some adjustments and corrections, and so we appreciate your feedback on how it's going, how you can see and hear us, and if any changes need to be made. So let's do some joys and sorrows. And last time we invited you to put your joy and your sorrow into the chat so that we could name those and honor those in community. And this time we are inviting you to do the same thing. If there's any joy on your heart that you want to share with us, or any sorrow that you bring today, you can put that in the chat. And what we want to do actually is bless our joys and sorrows today. And we have a little response to say as blessing.
Yeah.
And we're gonna read your joy or your sorrow aloud, and then we're gonna say, in this moment, and we would like you and everyone in this room to respond with, may love surround you.
Yes.
So in this moment, may love surround you. Perfect. So should we take turns?
I think, yeah, let's take turns. And I see it looks like we have a few people sort of starting. So I'm going to start with the comment just below Julie Hill with Bob Meredith. So keep typing in your joys and your sorrows, and we'll alternate reading them back and forth and offering you a moment of response. So Bob Meredith says, good to be with you. In this moment,
may
love surround you.
Emily Mockett says, sorrow for not being able to visit my mom in assisted living. In this moment,
may love surround you.
So we have Lisa Johnson. My great joy is feeling the power of our togetherness, joy and hope. In this moment,
may
love surround you.
And someone, Silver Knucker, says, my joy is that China now has more recoveries than new COVID-19 cases. In this moment,
may love surround you.
And I see here Gregory Cook says, joy. He talked with John Peck on Friday. His treatment seems to be going well, and he is in good spirits. In this moment,
may love surround you.
Jessica Demick says, joy, puppy, Griffin.
In this moment,
may love surround you.
Mary Ellen Morgan says, joy for my blooming garden, sorrow for my loneliness during this pandemic. In this moment,
may love surround you.
And Jennifer, our parish nurse, says, we have a concern for my mother who is ill with pneumonia. In this moment,
may love surround you.
Jeff Phillip, and this is Lydia, who says that their joy is to be here in community in this stressful and fear-filled time. In this moment,
may love surround you.
Bonner says, joy, even though it would have been the ultimate. This is a joy that can only be read in chat, so I invite you to read that in chat. He's grateful that our Commander-in-Chief did not contract COVID-19. In this moment,
may love surround you.
Arlene Wade says that she has a sorrow that her track coach Bill Rowe from Western Washington University died on February 29th. In this moment,
may love surround you.
Marcia Kristen says, joy and concern as our daughter Rose travels back from grad school in New York today. Concern for family members who are part of a vulnerable population. In this moment,
may love surround you.
I see
Jeanette Woolley.
Says, thinking of those who are isolated. In this moment,
may love surround you.
So let's sing again together. Are we singing Spirit of Life? We all know this one. putting your joys and sorrows into our chat and sharing those with us today.
Thank you all. And at this time, I have a bit of a reflection. So we just sang Spirit of Life, and on my stole there is a little quote from that song, and it says, "Roots hold me close, wings set me free, Spirit of Life, come to me, come to me." And I want to talk about those roots holding us close today. So for people who know me a little bit personally, you may know I love my houseplants. I have a lot of them. I live in a small house, and in less than 1,000 square feet, I would say I have about 24 houseplants. There's one in every room except the bathroom because it doesn't have a window. And I've spent a lot of time at home this last week, and I've been thinking about what is it about my houseplants that I love? What is it about them that brings me meaning? And I was thinking about a few things that I have learned from my houseplants. The first is just how to nurture something. So plants require water, they require soil, you have to tend to them. And so you learn to start caring for a living thing. And so there's just, what does it mean to care for something? My plants have also taught me about the excitement of new life. So sometimes a plant gets big, and I don't know if you can fully see this here, but you can take a clipping off of a plant, and certain plants you can stick into water, and they'll grow and propagate new life. So my plants have taught me about new life and the gifts of that. They've taught me about patience. So I have a plant at home. It's actually the plant at which this cutting came off of. This is a Monstera, is the name of this plant. And I got the original plant a few years ago, about 4 years ago. And it was about that size, just a few leaves in a pot, sticking out of some dirt. And since then, it has grown, and I've had to repot it on a few occasions, and it takes up the whole corner of the room in my guest room. And so this plant has taught me patience, because over 4 years, it's slowly grown and grown. And so that's something plants have taught me. I've also learned a little bit about loss occasionally from plants. I've had a few die. And it's hard because I get attached to these things. Mm-hmm. And so you learn a little bit about life and loss of life. Mm. And one of the things,
wow, look at that one.
So this is a pothos. And this plant, when I got it, was only about this size. Oh, wow. And this was maybe about 2 years ago. And it was in a pot much smaller than that one is. A little pot. Probably about, I'd say, a half the size of this current pot. And what happened was there was a point at which I noticed this plant started turning yellow. It started getting kind of yellowy colored. It started having some issues. Leaves were falling off. And so I started doing some research. I said, well, what's going on with this plant? And online I discovered that what was happening was the pot was too small. It needed a bigger pot. So I went to Home Depot. I got this pot about a year ago maybe and put it into this pot. And since then it started growing again. And recently I noticed that it's starting to get some of the same things, some leaves that are a little more yellow than I really would like them to be, as I had when last time I repotted. And so this got me thinking, what about this, these pots, is applicable to our situation now, these plants, these pots. And I started thinking about our community. We're a community that has roots. We come together in a container like a pot in a sanctuary, and we grow there. And that sometimes we outgrow our container. Mm-hmm. We outgrow the space that we're filling, And that means that we need a slightly bigger pot. And I think that's kind of where we're at right now as a community. For whatever reason, the container we were in, the pot, the way that we were meeting, where our roots were growing, right now is not necessarily the best vessel to be in. And so we're in a new pot. We're in a virtual pot together. We're growing roots that will stretch out and become branches connecting us. And I was thinking about just how this idea of when a plant needs to be repotted so its roots can grow, how that can be such a powerful metaphor for where we are now. That we're out of our pot, we're going to start growing new roots, we're going to grow in bigger and new ways together. And I learned thought about all of this just from spending time with my plants. And
we're out of our pot, all right.
We're out of our pot.
Who knows how big we can grow out here?
Well, and I will say that similarly, when I repot these things, I'm never quite sure how big they'll grow until they do it. And so I think that we can do some growth too in this time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Brian, would you play something for us? Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
So I have a little reflection as well that I wrote out today. And so when Zackrie and I were thinking about the theme, the spirit of life, that was the song that came to us as our inspiration. And the song Spirit of Life is, to me, such a Unitarian Universalist hymn. For some congregations like us here at KUUF, we sing it every Sunday. And it is so familiar to us and so meaningful that it grounds us in our bodies and reminds us who we are, and at the same time, connecting us to one another, it feels like it connects us to something divine and something larger than ourselves. And Carolyn McDade, the author of Spirit of Life, says she wrote it at a time when she was really overwhelmed and she just wanted to give up, which I found really meaningful right now, because this song keeps coming to me when I'm washing my hands. And I know we sang the Wash Wash song last week, but for whatever reason, when I'm washing my hands, it is Spirit of Life that I sing. And if I take my time and really do it properly, and you know how we do, sometimes we're better at that than others, but when I do it properly, washing my hands feels like a prayer. And I think about, my community. I think about the people that I want to make sure that their health stays good, and then I think about the germs and sort of imagine them just sort of washing off my hands. And so, having sung this now several times a day for several days now, I've been asking, what are the roots that hold us close? Yeah. During times of grief and uncertainty like we're in right now, what are the wings that set us free? And the roots are clear to me. As you said, the blessing of community is one, that we have one another and our shared humanity. The interdependent web, to me, is our roots, which is a thing that's challenging us right now, actually, how we're so intimately connected as humans. But it's also the thing that's going to save us, ultimately, I think, that we're forced to recognize and reckon with the fact that we are deeply connected and we need one another. So there's a song that I've sung for my congregation before, and I'm gonna sing it for you, just a little bit of it. And it has hand motions too. So it's, we're a family and we're a tree. Our roots go deep down in history, from my great-great-grandparents reaching up to me. We're a green and growing family tree. We're a family and we're a tree. Our roots go deep down in history, from my great-great-grandparents reaching up to me. We're a green and growing family tree. So this is what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about the roots, us as one human family. And I think it is the recognition of this that is ultimately going to be the wings that set us free. So I know I'm not the only one this week who has found joy and healing in some simple pleasures. So yesterday, my family and I drove out to Chimacum, which is near Port Townsend, and we picked up a dozen hatching eggs. If you don't know, a hatching egg is just what it sounds like. It's a fertilized egg that you put in an incubator, and then you wait for it to hatch and turn into a baby chick. And so for the next few weeks, we're just going to watch these eggs hatch. That's the plan. So when I saw the local farmer advertisement online, and I saw they had hatching eggs for sale, I thought, this is how I'm going to survive the pandemic. I'm going to watch eggs hatch. And it might sound funny, but being connected to life in this way feels really healing for me. And so Reverend Zackrie shared about how his connection to his house plants, it has that same connection to that spirit of life, tending to life and watching it grow, caring for something and nurturing it really are those wings that set us free at times like this, that acknowledgement of the spark of life in all things. The greens in your garden, the animals in your home, or the ones you see out the window. And if you're really isolated right now, and I know some of us are, it might be you that needs tending and love and care. You might be that spark of life that needs a little bit of extra nourishment right now. And part of that self-care is remembering to reach out. So I invite you to reach out, to connect to the spirit of life that is in all things. And you don't have to go and buy a dozen baby chicks or hatching eggs. Just pick up the phone, hop on that video call that might seem a little bit intimidating. Right now I can see all of you in the chat, and this is you engaging with that spirit of life and taking a chance and doing something that maybe you haven't done before. And I find, and maybe you find too, that love really is waiting there for us when we do that, when we reach out. That's the love that's going to guide us out of our grief and into hope and into joy. And one of our most cherished joys is singing, which we've done a little bit this time, and I hope you've been singing along. I think it's one of the most important ways that we can connect with life right now. So let's sing our closing hymn in a moment, but first I want to read you a poem. And this is by UU minister Reverend Lynn Unger. And the poem is called Pandemic. And maybe you have seen it. Much like the real pandemic, it went viral this week. Yeah. So let me read that to you. What if you thought of it as the Jews consider the Sabbath, the most sacred of times? Cease from travel, cease from buying and selling. Give up just for now on trying to make the world different than it is. Sing, pray, touch only those to whom you commit your life. Center down. And when your body has become still, reach out with your heart. Know that we are connected in ways that are terrifying and beautiful. You could hardly deny it now. Know that our lives are in one another's hands. Surely that has come clear. Do not reach out your hands. Reach out your heart. Reach out your words. Reach out all the tendrils of compassion that move invisibly where we cannot touch. Promise this world your love, for better or for worse, in sickness and in health, so long as we all shall live. Shall we sing again?
We shall. Let's.
Okay, let's sing. So this is the song Love Will Guide Us, which is number 131, and the words are also in the order of service. Last week, we're going to set an intention for the week ahead, and we invite you to think about the week ahead and what is it that you want to carry with you into that week. It might be something that was inspiring to you from the service today. It might be something that you want to remember as we carry on through this rather uncertain time. So I invite you to put that in the chat so we can share our intentions with one another. And Zackrie, do you have a word?
So I would say, and I think this came up last week, but my intention is to remain grounded, to let those roots hold me close. There's a lot going on, and it's easy to be drawn in many directions, but to just be present in the moment, and with all of you too.
Mm-hmm.
How about yourself?
Well, last week mine was centered.
Yeah.
which was a good one. I think this week I'm going to carry the word connect with me. The idea of connecting to life every day, doing something that connects me to that spirit of life, I think is going to be my word, connect.
Awesome. And I see here we have some folks, and please keep typing them in and we'll do a quick popcorn read of them. But I see Bonner has the intention of compassion.
Genevieve Emmett says flexible thinking.
Rebecca McCall, keeping my heart open.
Rachel McBain, compassion and bravery.
Marcia Christensen, patience, returning again and again.
Presence, actually, was what it was.
Yes.
That's okay. It's important. That's all I always might correct you. Fran Corton says wisdom.
And Johanna Munson says love to all.
Lisa Johnson, faith in each other.
Elizabeth Roberts, trying to figure out as a school teacher and librarian, I continue to meet and the great needs of my students and their families. It's truly uncharted territory. It is uncharted territory.
Emily Mockett says nest.
Mary Ellen Morgan, give hope to others.
Jessica Demick, play with family.
Bunny says grateful.
Jeff Phillip, to create opportunities for virtual connections.
And Bonner's coming in and says connected compassion.
Marcia Gladhart says connection.
So I think this is Judy Freesom. Bring a bit of beauty into each day.
And Jennifer Ingalls, as a parent, I know my child will remember how I acted through this pandemic for the rest of her life. I'm going to be present, model calm, connection, and care.
And I have here, I'm not sure the name, but be helpful.
And TJ Dominguez, the closing hymn really seems like a roadmap for the time ahead as well as for life always. Yeah, TJ.
That's a good roadmap. So Genevieve Emmett, Elizabeth, you and me both. So there's some solidarity there.
And Math Star Patience.
And Carol Ann Davidson says, yes to Emily, nest.
Joe Walter, creativity and imagination.
Carrie Schmidt says, I'm with Jessica, connection.
Robin Singh says, trust.
Jane Martin, breathe deeply.
Tyler Weaver, strength, connection, and life.
Amen. Donna Moore, reaching out to others. Please, Donna, please keep reaching out.
Silverknucker says, to remain hopeful and remain connected to my friends around the community, around the U.S., and the world.
See, Frank Patty says, great idea, thanks.
Janet Marie says, calling our neighbors. That's an important one.
Marcia Smith, thank you for the connection. Thank you for joining, Marcia.
A Super Uke fan. I'm with you. Liminality.
Eric and Demi Rasmussen, we're working on finding our first constructive way to help those in our community in need.
Bonnie Yokas, reaching out.
Amen. Pat Killian, let love guide us through the hard night.
Amen. Rachel McBain, Diane says, tend to her garden.
Annie Pendergast, gratitude for health care and child care right now. We should all be so lucky.
Donna Moore, remembering the 80-20 rule. I don't know what that is. Do you know what that is?
Donna posted something about it yesterday, and
Okay.
off the top of my head, I'm confusing it with another 80-20 rule. But if you're curious, Donna posted on her Facebook.
Maybe you can post in the chat, Donna, a link to that.
Yeah. So I have Heidi says she loves the 80-20 rule. Jeff Phillip, this is Nancy, love without judgment.
Emily Mockett says Ubuntu. That one is I am because we are.
Marcia Gladhart, grace.
Ellie Klauminzer, remember those who are truly isolated and seek to connect with them.
And Jerry Butler, we have care for myself and others.
Chris Smello, being creative and how to sing with my choir virtually. Should we?
Oh, do we have
we got more? Carol Ann Davidson says, Hugh, Grace, Heidi Parkington. Oh yes, so we're catching up now to where you were.
Okay.
Oh, Fran Corton says 80-20, pay attention to what's most important, leave the rest aside. Thank you for letting us know. That's a good one. Jessica Demick, Chris in Puyallup says creating.
Yeah. Bonnie Yokas, wonderful word, grace.
Bonnie Heinrich, read that book, paint that painting, walk that trail you might have been putting off, and tell people close that you love them.
I like that.
Yeah, that's a good way to close our intention.
So yeah, these are all wonderful intentions. I think, I'm going to work to keep many of those in my heart in the week ahead. And I think it was one I hadn't thought of, but grace. Lots of grace right now, and patience. So when we came together, we kindled the flame of our chalice. And now, as we are preparing to depart from our virtual gathering, I'd like to invite us to extinguish the flame of our chalice. And I'll do it one line at a time, and as you feel called at home, you're welcome to repeat after me. So we extinguish this flame, but
we extinguish this flame,
but not the light of truth,
but
not the light of truth,
the warmth of community,
the warmth of community,
or the fire of commitment.
or
the fire of commitment.
These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for being with us here today and engaging in the chat. And thank you, Reverend Zackrie, for coming to KUUF all the way to Bremerton today.
I'm glad to be here. It's nice to have a change of scenery.
And thank you, Beth and Rosemary, and thank you, Brian, for being here as well. Let's let Brian play us out.
But you're going to say something else?
Oh, that's right. Thank you, Beth. One more thing. So after this, we're actually having a Zoom coffee hour. So the link, I'm going to put that in the chat in just a moment. I'm going to go from here around the other side of the computer and put that in the chat, or maybe someone else might have it and can put it in. So join us on Zoom, where we'll be able to see one another's face. And if you've never used Zoom before, this is your chance to test out this technology.
And I'll train them.
And Beth Wilson is going to walk us through a little bit of Zoom. So I invite you just to reach out. This is your opportunity to take that risk a little bit and try something new if you've never used Zoom. So get your coffee. You have a minute.
Yeah.
And then,
I just also wanted to add, I know that, this is a great way to stay connected, but last week we did name that not everyone is able to access this all the time. And so please take time this week to pick up the phone, give someone a phone call. If they cross your mind, maybe send them a quick email if they email. But we're aware that this is sort of a big leap in terms of church community. And so we want to make sure that we're mindful not to leave people out, especially in this time when many of us may feel isolated.
and there is a phone call. There's a phone number for the Zoom room as well. So for folks who don't have tech in that way, if you know who they are and they want to call in, we can share that phone number as well to get into the Zoom. And next week, you and I are actually going to go on a road trip.
Yeah, we're taking the show even farther on the road next week.
We're going to Tacoma to be with Reverend Linda Hart at Tahoma UU. And so we'll still be here in the same spot on our homepage, but the location will be different. And
Another face.
Another face will be with us, and we're really excited about welcoming yet another congregation into this beloved community.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you all.